This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Wump, here it is.
He's Derek.
I am a bear chub. I'm into bears, geeks, and daddies.
She's Romaine.
She's a freak. I want a fat twat. Oh my God. What the fuck?
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches. Hello, Derek.
Well, hello, Romaine Patterson. So glad to have you all with us here for another A-plus episode of our show. We're going to be joined in just a scant few minutes by our guest, Steve Hayes, tired old queen at the movies.
He's tired, all right. No, he's not. He's wonderful.
He is tired of you not watching classic films,
I
Romaine,
know.
just because they're in black and white.
I know. He tells me every single time.
I was just watching on YouTube. I was watching the TCM, the Turner Classic Movies, the Classic Movie Channel.
Yeah.
They have a YouTube channel, and they post some of their interstitial content. That's where they will talk about a movie before they actually show the movie.
Right.
Or they'll interview a celebrity and as an introduction to the films. Anyway, so I was watching one that they did with Spike Lee.
Okay.
For two movies that he was sort of guest, introducing with Ben Mankiewicz. And anyway, so, but Spike Lee is a tenured film school professor at NYU.
Okay.
And he said that when he begins every semester, he says, I'm going to show you some movies you've never seen before, and they're going to be in black and white, and they're going to be before you were born, and you're just going to have to get over it.
Oh. Well, I would not be down for that. I'd be like, no,
yeah,
I'm not going to do it. No.
But you're not going to film school.
No, I'm not.
I didn't go to film school, but I took some film classes in college.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed it. I got to be honest. If you have if you are interested in some kind of continuing education in a local community college or something, whatever, strong recommend to a film class, because you'll see movies you haven't seen before, but also you'll have discussions about movies that are interesting about sort of what the movie means and, all that kind of stuff. And,
right.
As I've told the story many, many times about how I outed myself as a homosexual, talking about the symbolism in the Bette Davis movie, Now Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And so movies can be as revealing about the people who watch them as the movies reveal something themselves. But the two movies that Spike Lee was talking about were one I have never seen before, which now I'm going to be encouraged to watch.
Right.
And then another one which I have seen, when Mike and Brian, Mike was doing his AFI top movies of every year chronological thing. They're now deep in the 80s. So the highfalutin movies they're watching are all John Hughes movies now. But anyway, when they were in the 1950s, we did watch a movie with Andy Griffith that I'd never seen before called A Face in the Crowd. And it's quite good, especially because, Andy Griffith from the Andy Griffith Show. I'm sure you didn't watch it a lot, but I'm sure your parents did. It seems like their jam.
Right.
And so people who know Andy Griffith as Matlock or as Andy Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show, he was always playing this sort of sweet country bumpkin-ish character who is smarter than he seemed, right? But in A Face in the Crowd, it was early in his career. I think he was working as a stand-up comedian and a little bit as an actor. And he got hired by Ilya Kazan to play this role of kind of a character very similar to Andy Griffith, kind of an aw shucks country bumpkin type of guy.
Okay.
Who becomes really famous on TV because he really connects with ordinary people. And then it turns out that he is a power hungry, nut who wants to use his aw shucks charm and populism to basically take over America.
Oh.
And in the end, he's undone. I mean, spoiler alert, but he ends up getting undone by a recording of his actual feelings about his fan base and, how he doesn't think very much of them and how they're stupid and that he is exploiting their stupidity for his own power. And that turns America against him. And anyway... Turns out that's not 100% true, but the rest of it is actually, the movie is really about sort of the power of television.
Right.
And how it can transform somebody, an ordinary person, into a very powerful person because of its reach into people's homes. And so it is quite a good movie, and Andy Griffith could have had a real career as a dramatic actor, but he did not like that movie. He didn't like the role and didn't like playing the bad guy.
Right.
And, from then on out, only played good-hearted, wholesome people. So anyway, but strong recommend for A Face in the Crowd because you'll watch it and you'll think, wow, this movie is really sort of ahead of its time in predicting the power that television will have. And then the other movie is a Billy Wilder movie, which I haven't seen, called Ace in the Hole.
Okay.
Which is also sort of about
gambling
media. And in this case, Kirk Douglas plays a reporter who loses their big city job and ends up in a small town. And he comes across a man who has become trapped in a mine collapse.
Oh.
And so he does a story about the guy trapped in the mine collapse. And of course, it's Baby Jessica in a well. It becomes a national sensation, and all these people come to town to see the progress of what's happening with the man in the well. But because he found the guy, he's the only one who has exclusive access to him. So he's really speaking for the guy in the well. This is his ace in the hole, and he wants to leverage this guy who's trapped in a mine, whose life is in peril, so that he can get ahead in his career in media. It's really... it's really fucked up, but also, it really ties into a lot of our feelings about the way that ordinary people are exploited by media
all the time
for political gain, for media figures, rise to national prominence. Mm-hmm. How many times have we seen somebody who their prominence in media is because of where they were when a major story broke?
Right.
A hot meteorologist who gets caught in a hurricane locally suddenly gets elevated to a national meteorology job. Mm-hmm. The person who happens to be at the desk at CNN on the morning of 9/11 suddenly has a job for life.
Right.
These things happen very quickly. Star Jones, she was a lawyer who was sort of a on-air commentator for fledgling court TV during the OJ trial, and that gave her a career.
Yeah.
So it's very, even though it was made in 1951, there's a lot of resonance with today, modern media and that kind of thing.
Well, because the media hasn't really changed at all.
No, but also people don't change.
Right.
We like to think that other eras in time were different, or the people who lived then were different. Maybe they were better or more self-sacrificing or whatever our imagination is, but people are people, and their base instincts have not changed. And the only thing that I think really makes a difference is, who are the thought leaders?
Right.
What's at the top of the pyramid in terms of the voices that are being amplified and the thoughts that are being expressed and propelled forward, because people are going to be people either way.
It's
It
true.
really is the quality of the character of the people at the top of the totem pole. It's racist. That really make the difference.
Right.
So when we have good people in media, when we have good people in politics, when we have, good celebrities, then good things happen. When we have bad people in politics, bad people in media, trashy celebrities, well, not
Less
good things are gonna happen.
Yeah. It's true. It's very, very true, Derek. Very, very true indeed.
Yes. But I feel like we do this every single time we have Steve Hayes on. I wish we could get you to engage with some of these movies.
Girl, it's never going to happen. But you know what? I love when Steve is on because it makes you so happy because you finally have someone to talk to about all these dumb movies that I'll never watch. So
I can talk to
they're
you
not
about
dumb,
them.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but then you'll just go, yeah, okay.
Yeah, basically, because
Ignore me.
the funny thing is, I probably have watched some of these old movies that you love so much with my old parents, but I don't remember them because I hated them because they were old, like my parents.
Why did you hate your old parents?
I didn't hate my old parents, but I did hate I hated
Taste?
their choices in entertainment. Hated them. It was the worst. All those old westerns I had to watch growing up. Ugh. Made me want to die.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, we are as far away from Back to the Future as Back to the Future was from the end of World War II.
Oh, wow. Hadn't thought about it in that way, but okay.
So you have to sort of think about Pie Pants. Like if you were to show Pie Pants, a movie from the 80s or 90s, it is exactly like me trying to get you to watch a movie from the 1950s.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Or 40s.
And by the way, Romy won't watch movies from the 80s, which I'm like,
is a shame.
What's wrong with you? These
There's
are
so
great
much casual
movies.
racism she could enjoy. Some sexism.
You think?
Remember in 16 Candles where he just basically gives his drunk girlfriend away to some random guy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, good times.
I still love the thing in 16 Candles when her hair gets caught in the door and her friends come by to help her and they cut her hair off in order to free her from the door. Like the one friend who's wearing her mother's like long pearl necklace and gets it stuck on something and like all the pearls come out.
Not a quality
Like these
pearl
drunk
necklace.
fucking bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
A total respect for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, maybe one
Exactly.
day you will try fruitlessly to convince your daughter to watch some movie that you love from the 80s or 90s. So,
I mean, I did get her to watch Gremlins.
okay, and
She kind of liked it.
kinda.
Yeah.
She didn't even like it when Polly Holiday went blasting through the roof.
I mean, she thought it was funny.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think what movies from the 80s Iris has made her watch. I don't know that there. I don't think there are any that Iris has forced her to watch.
What about something like The Matrix? Which I know you don't think is an old movie, but it came out 26 years ago.
I mean, it is an old movie now. Yeah.
To your daughter, it is for sure.
Even to me, it is. Yeah, maybe she. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever made her watch The Matrix because I love The Matrix.
Yeah. Okay, so for reference, your daughter is as distant from The Matrix as you are from, well, not quite Psycho, but The Birds.
Sure.
Somewhere in that vicinity.
Sure. That makes sense. That totally makes sense. And that feels old to me. So I'm sure The Matrix feels old to Romy. She'd probably be like, I don't know why you're making me watch this shit. And I'd be like, because look at Trinity. She's so fucking hot. And she'd be like, oh, yeah, she kind of is. But the rest
Actually,
of
no.
them
I'm going to take this back. Math-wise, it's much closer to like Patton or something for you from late 1960, like 2001: A Space Odyssey or something like that. Love Story. One of those movies for you.
I don't even know what those movies are.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Never watched it.
It is. You wouldn't watch it because it's about
Space,
it's
and I
science
hate
fiction.
space.
It's about people going to space.
You know I hate movies about space.
I know, but
or
it was
shows about space.
Yeah, but 2001 was kind of important in that it's the first modern space movie. Like, it's the first time that they made a movie set in space where they actually addressed, like, zero gravity and, not being able to breathe in space, like oxygen, like all those kinds of things. Whereas before, the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, Buck Rogers, he would just walk around in a spacecraft in space or whatever, get out in some planet, Star Trek would do this all the time. They would like beam down to some planet. Oh, we can breathe here. Oh, how lucky.
Right.
Yeah, every time. But 2001 is like, no, actually, you would die in space if you didn't have a helmet on. You won't be able to breathe in these places. And
nice knowing you.
And 2001 is also the one where the computer HAL, which is, IBM, one letter off. HAL is a supercomputer that decides that it's going to take over.
Oh.
And then decides it's going to kill the astronauts that are on the spaceship with them.
Oh. Well.
It's very chilling because it's just the voice of the computer. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I can't do that, Dave. It's very creepy. And like, you're in space. Right. You can't call the manager.
Right.
And the computer controls everything. It's a little bit terrifying.
A little bit.
Yeah. So anyway, I actually think, and it is in color.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. You'd find the pacing of it really slow, but still worth watching.
Okay.
Well, we're going to get more recommendations of movies worth watching.
Yeah.
With Steve Hayes, title queen of the movies.
Stay tuned for more Derek and Romaine.
Derek here, along with Romaine, and joining us now by phone, our returning champion, it's Steve Hayes, title queen of the movies. And you, of course, can check him out on his very popular YouTube channel, Steve Hayes TOQ, and he is on X and Blue Sky. Steve Hayes TOQ. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Hi. Well, thank you. I am thrilled. I'm so glad to be talking with you again. How are you?
Well, we've been missing you. That's how we are.
Well, I'll give you an hour to cut that out. I'll tell you right
Steve, we wanted to have you on because I feel like Tired Old Queen of the Movies is celebrating 15 years.
Whoa, what?
15 years and 230 episodes. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
That's insane.
I know. It's just, I'm so thrilled. It gives me such joy, and it's taken off. We've got 21,000 subscribers now, and we have over 4 million hits worldwide. It's been just lovely, And I still do it live occasionally. I'm doing live shows occasionally, and it's been a great joy in my life, I love turning people on to classic films. It's been wonderful, Yeah.
Well, it's because of you that I watched a couple of classic films, so I think it's great that you're doing
that.
Oh,
my God. Alert the media. Ladies and gentlemen, trying to get this woman to watch classic films,
it's impossible.
I'm telling you, it's like trying to get me to eat asparagus. Forget it. Well, I'm very glad. Oh, that warms my heart. That makes my whole day, honey.
Well,
oh, my
good.
God. Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
Well, the great irony is that the header image on your YouTube channel still is from our studio, and Romaine is in it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
His most challenging guest ever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And one of my most attractive ones, I might add, as well. Yes, we I have a picture of us on my little business card that I hand out. One of my little business cards, which is of me on your show, giggling like crazy because I always laughed when I was on your show. And so my friends who my team looked at that and they said, "Oh, let's do this picture from when you were on Derek and Romaine years ago." I went, "Oh, great!" So, kind of it gives a good atmosphere of what the whole thing is about. I want to make people laugh and enjoy themselves and go back and watch the movies.
Yeah.
So
that is true. Now, Steve, since you've been at it for 15 years, when
let's not talk personally. Let's just keep it to the show. You've been at it for 15 years, and I'm tired. You know.
Well, first of all, you've been at it a lot longer than 15 years, but okay.
Quiet.
But when all of this started, though, was this, is this what you thought it would be? How has it been compared to what you thought it might be at the beginning?
Well, this all started because I have a mentor who's also the director of my show, Vincent Cardinal. And he said to me, Steve Hayes, I think you ought to be a household name. This is back in 2009. And I thought, well, your mouth to God's ears. He said, I have an idea. I think we ought to come over to your crazy memorabilia-filled apartment and hand you a DVD and photograph you talking off the top of your head like you do at every dinner party about whatever movie you're into. And we'll put on once a month. And what do you think about that? I said, sounds like a great idea. He said, what do you think we should call it? And without missing a beat, I said, let's call it what it is, Tired Old Queen at the Movies. And that's how it happened. And it was originally, I didn't know where it was going to go, but it was a medium that I had never tried before. And, I'm always trying to branch out and do stuff. So that's how it started. And we used to when we first started, we were doing one a week, but that was killing us. So, yeah. And they were very, very short. They were 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops, and we hadn't really incorporated, clips and things in them. And as they kept going and it picked up in popularity, we just started adding stuff to it, and one thing led to several, and it's been going ever since. And I'd like to. I must say though, when I go back and look at the early ones, I did so many of my very favorite movies early that I didn't really get to cover them as well as I would have liked to. So we've been sort of sneaking back and redoing a couple here and there. Like I redid Laura last year because I'd never, really done a really good one on that. And there are others that I think I'm going to tackle again that are just favorites, But all in all, we've covered a lot of ground. Yeah.
Laura is a terrific movie. And, the first time I watched it, not knowing anything about it, I was very surprised by there's a bit of a plot twist about a half an hour into the movie that I was not expecting. And it is a delightful movie. It is quite good. And, you don't always.
It's perfectly cast.
Yes. But I think that a lot of younger people think that dramatic plot twists or, the kind of surprises that we are used to in a lot of our TV and movies now is very modern. But, and that the older movies can have slower pacing or not have, dramatic plot twists or whatever else or exciting action sequences. But quite a number of classic movies have the kinds of twists and thrills that current movies have, and people should give some of these movies a chance because they may surprise them.
Oh yes, absolutely. And one of the big hurdles that I've had over the years is that current generations don't want to watch black and white movies.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get them to watch these beautiful plot and character driven films. Because they're in black and white.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's impossible to believe that someone would not watch a movie because it's in black and white.
Derek, give her a little poke. Now, wake up there. You are one of my hardest persons. I think I got you to watch. What did I get you to watch? All About Eve? Was that the one I got you to watch?
And
Romaine?
Baby Jane.
And Baby Jane.
Yeah, that was my favorite of all the movies. I think that I watched was Baby Jane.
Well, it's a tender story.
It is. It's a lovely story.
Love and
yeah.
Yes, and torture.
Yeah.
And yes. Well, what I tried to do early on was Baby Jane. Like people had been after me to review Baby Jane. I just did Baby Jane this past year, and people had been after me for years to review it. But I wanted to get people to dig further back into when these people were starting out and what made them famous and their real glory years. because Baby Jane was a comeback film for Betty Davis. Her glory years were at Warner Brothers from like 1938 until 1949, when she had like, 6 or 7 Oscar nominations, a year in a row, one year after another. And, she just turned out, in 1939, she turned out 5 box office hits in 1 year. In 1 year. She was amazing. So I wanted people to go back and find these incredible films and discover people like Barbara Stanwyck. God, she did everything. She could do everything, comedy, drama, and she was good in every single thing she did. People like, my favorite, Cary Grant, who was so versatile. Anyway, I wanted people to dig a little bit. So I go back and find more obscure things and, hope that and I find that they do. They come up to me and they go, "Oh my God, I never heard of this movie, and I watched it and it was amazing." And I go, "Bingo." So.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting because there are some stars like Betty Davis who was sort of a classic movie star. That Betty Davis and Cary Grant I would put in these categories, or Katharine Hepburn, where you went to see them in a movie because they were going to be exactly what you expected them to be. And
yes, you didn't go for the titles. You went for the star.
Right.
You didn't even know what the title was back then. I'm going to the new Betty Davis movie, the new Gary Cooper movie, the new Joan Crawford movie. That's what you did.
Yeah. But there are other performers like Barbara Stanwyck who I feel like really wanted to do very different things, to really try to shake up genres and, because she was great in comedy, but also great in dramas. And she really liked to, go back and forth. A real switch hitter, you might say. That's Stanwyck.
Yes, you might. Some would.
But I am sure you've had the same thing that I've had, which over the years, as I have watched lots of movies and everything, some of my allegiances for films or performers have shifted. I'm a great lover of Alfred Hitchcock, and, I really like a lot of his movies, especially, he really was at a peak in the 1950s, with a lot of his movies. But as time has gone on, even though people feel like, at the time, people felt like To Catch a Thief was a postcard, a fluff, a slight of a movie. As time goes on, it's the one that I rewatch the most because it is fluffy. I enjoy it. It's delightful. And Edith Head's costumes for Grace Kelly are psychotic camp. And Jesse Royce Landis is hilarious. Like and France is beautiful. Sometimes, as time goes on, you have a different appreciation for different movies or different performers or directors.
It's absolutely, totally. And for example, with Hitchcock, my favorite movie is Vertigo. It's my all-time favorite movie. And this past year, I went to see the New York Philharmonic play the score live while it was on, and it was one of the most amazing cinematic experiences I think I've ever had. And it just made me realize what a genius he was in every single aspect. But I turned people back to Hitchcock in the 40s when he first came to this country, even in the 30s, but in the 40s when he was working with David Selznick, he had the most glamorous productions in the 40s, Rebecca and Spellbound and Notorious. I mean, they were just these amazing productions. And then he would sneak in a little one with another studio like Shadow of a Doubt, which was his favorite movie, or Lifeboat, which was so experimental and unusual and absolutely amazing. And even his what are considered his lesser films are better than most people's best efforts. I love Stage Fright. It's all about the theater, and it's got all those British character actors. And he loved comedy. He loved comic actors. He adored Thelma Ritter. He adored Jesse Royce Landis. He loved all those people he would sneak in. And he was very gay-friendly, which I loved. He would put gay characters in almost all of his movies, sneak them in. He would have them here and there and everywhere. And I loved him for that, too. He was amazing. He was simply amazing.
Yeah, I did see I can't remember who it was now. It might have been Quentin Tarantino in an interview was saying that Alfred Hitchcock was a filmmaker in the wrong era. That because of the Hays Code and the limitations, he wasn't able to really fulfill his promise. In some ways, yes, having coded gay characters and everything, it was very clever the way that he worked around these things. But imagine what kind of movies he would have made if there could have been actual gay characters in them. I think that he would have had a lot of some richer storytelling of things like Strangers on a Train, if it was like fully out in the open how gay it was, or Rope.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you can, but he was. You have to. I think he was in the right era because it was the great era of romance, and he was a big romantic director. And especially in the war years and going into things, it was the year of he was so romantic. And he's known as the master of suspense, but he was one of the great romantic directors. You watch that kissing scene in Notorious, or you watch the kissing scene in Spellbound, or the way the Grace Kelly and Jimmy Stewart interactions. And even in To Catch a Thief, that whole scene with him walking Grace Kelly down the hallway and she turns at the doorway and grabs him, I mean, he was a very romantic director. The only movie of his that I cannot really watch was when he was the freest to making movies, and that's Frenzy. Frenzy to me is so disturbing, not because but because it's just, he stepped over the line for some reason, and I just thought, if that's the way he's going to go with much more freedom, I'm glad he didn't. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. He had such a as a creative force, he had such a tear, especially in the 1940s into the 1950s. There are very few directors that have created so many movies that it would be a fight to make a 10 best list. Many directors. There are some that were really solid directors over the years, and especially with the studio system, where they were all making 1 to 2 movies a year,
wow.
Sometimes for 30, 40 years, because directors would have very long careers. They sometimes were directing 50 movies. So, if they had 5 amazing movies, that wasn't a great batting average, really, when you think about it. But Hitchcock, I think, just really knew his stuff and churned out A+ after A+ movie, to the point that lots of people, like this with our conversation, people will have very different favorites or very different bests within his career, which a lot of other directors, you think, well, there really was sort of one high watermark or one sort of brief period for them. The only other the sort of other director for me like this is like Billy Wilder, who did Sunset Boulevard, which Romaine loves. And he just covered a lot more genres in his filmmaking than Hitchcock did.
He did. And he changed with everything.
Yeah.
But what he always had, even at his most serious stuff, was that dark, sardonic wit that he brought to everything. Even his most serious things he had that Billy Wilder, it came from where he came from. He lost so many people in the Holocaust. He escaped Nazi Germany. He had a riveting way of looking at things, and he had a really dark, wonderful humor that he brought to everything that I think is. I mean, you watch something like Sabrina, and then you watch Witness for the Prosecution, and then you watch something like Sunset Boulevard, and then Double Indemnity, and then he'd turn around and do, Some Like It Hot. What versatility there was there. I mean, he was amazing. The only thing about the war that was beneficial to us in terms of was that we got all of these incredible people escaping from the tyranny of Europe at that time, and they hit the film industry, and they brought so much to the film industry. I mean, it was amazing. They influenced the course of films forever, with their look at things. And he was one of them. I watched a movie of his recently called Ace in the Hole. Have you seen that with Kirk Douglas? Oh, my God, you must watch it. He did it right after Sunset Boulevard. It's really good. It's really dark, and it's really, really good. And I think it's Kirk Douglas's one of the great roles of his career. And you'll like it's dark. But it's got great lines. Jan Sterling is in this movie. And at one point, she says to Kirk Douglas, "Gee, I've seen some hard-boiled eggs in my day, but you're 20 minutes."
It is amazing that English was not Billy Wilder's first language. He always wrote with a writing partner with the scripts. And, but he had, I mean, I don't know if it was like a musical ear, but I can't imagine another filmmaker where English was not their first language, whose dialogue in their movies is so good, so precise in the language and the way that it is structuring jokes and moving the story forward and everything. I think it's the most underrated aspect of Billy Wilder's career, because I think most people watching, because his movies can be very dialogue heavy. Like you think about Some Like It Hot, it has running gag after running gag, joke that comes back again and again all through the movie. And just to think that he was not a native English speaker and yet had this this command of dialogue is really, really special.
Oh, absolutely. And he was one like Ernst Lubitsch, who he loved. He had the Wilder touch. He brought a touch of just, there was always a little bit of naughtiness in his movies. There was always dark humor. The lines come. And even the movies that he only wrote and didn't direct, like Midnight. Did you ever see Midnight with Claude Colbert?
It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Of course he's seen
Midnight.
that.
Oh, it's lovely. It's so fun. Oh my God, it's so much fun. And it's always tongue in cheek. A movie like or Foreign Affair that he did right after the war in Berlin. Berlin was in just tatters, and he goes and shoots that with Dietrich, and it's so funny despite the setting and the tone of it and what it deals with. There's so many funny things in it. I just love him. I love him, and I love what he did in Witness for the Prosecution. I read an interview with him. That book he did with Cameron Crowe, the interviews, was great, and he said that his two favorite performances that he ever directed were Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard and Charles Lawton in Witness for the Prosecution. He said because they both walked that fine line. They could have gone into caricature, and they didn't do it. They just would bring it back to reality, And he was just amazing. He was amazing.
So I did, and I can't remember if it was in that book. It was in another interview where where he's asked about when he was preparing movies, if he, said, "Oh, I'm going to do a comedy or I'm going to do a drama," and he was like, "Oh, I find out if the movie is a comedy or a drama when I finish it," and I think that that's really an important part of him as a filmmaker, and why like some of his dramas are so funny and why some of his comedies are so serious, because because life is like that. It's funny and sad at the same time. It's dramatic and low key at the same time. And I think that it's part of the enduring appeal of his movies that even when they are serious, like there is some LOL, laugh out loud, funny stuff in Sunset Boulevard. And then in Something Like It Hot, which is as loony a farce as there is, Sugar's life is really sad. Like there's a lot of it's about gangland murders and there is rough stuff in there. And but yeah, with Witness for the Prosecution, which is another of my favorite movies because Dietrich is incredible in it, and Charles Lawton is hilarious with his wife as well, Elsa Lancaster, as the nurse. Their banter is just fall on the floor hilarious.
Yeah, Billy Wilder, there not enough can be said about him. I years ago I met Frances Sternhagen, and I asked her what it was like to work with Billy Wilder. He'd worked with her in Fedora. And he said that he wasn't. She said he wasn't so. She said he wasn't so intricate with the actors, but he was always joking with the crew. He was always making the crew laugh. He's funny guy.
He really is. All right, now Steve Hayes, let us talk about actors that are among your favorites, because I know one of the I watched your based on your review of Written on the Wind. I watched it years ago, and Dorothy Malone's Best Supporting Actress win in that movie is one of the most deserved Oscars of all time. Her performance is so bonkers. I think that's a movie that Romaine would enjoy watching, just because she's crazy, so crazy in that movie.
And that's so. Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I was waiting for you to go after her, and you didn't. Thank you. I love that performance. I think she's so amazing, and she, the one of the most interesting things about that performance is that was nothing at all like her. Nothing at all like her.
Really?
She was very, very religious. She was very quiet. She always said in interviews, "Oh, it just bothers me that people really thought that I was thought I was that character." She said, and that was just the challenge of that character. This woman was, an alcoholic, and alcoholic nymphomaniac lady, she was just over the top. But I'm looking at on my wall. I have an original lobby card from Written on the Wind. I love that movie so much. It was the performance. It matches the Technicolor in that movie. It's just so over the top and great. I don't know. I love that performance.
I do too.
There are a few in that category during that time that I thought were just perfect performances. Jo Van Fleet in East of Eden is another one. I go like, oh my God, you're watching this amazing film. You're watching James Dean. You can't take your eyes off it. And then she comes on and you go, oh my God. She's just riveting in it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of my other favorite performers that I think, because sometimes, obviously there are stars that have continued to endure, somebody like a Bette Davis, and a big part of why Davis has existed so long is she lived a long time. She had a very long career, but she also is easy to imitate. So we've seen her as much as we've seen imitations of her over the years and everything. And she was in quite a number of iconic movies. But one of the stars that I think that younger moviegoers should take a look at is Mary Astor, who I think is one of the great performers from the silent era into the 30s and 40s. So versatile. She had a long career, transitioning pretty early on into sort of secondary lead character performances, but she's so great in Dodsworth and Midnight and Maltese Falcon and
The Great Lie. The Great Lie. Oh my God, she's so good in The Great Lie. The thing about her is that she is so real. She just is real. She was known in the industry as One Take Astor. I spoke with her daughter. I met her daughter. Well, I spoke with her on the phone, and she would just come on. She was always prepared, always knew what she was going to do. She just didn't blow her own horn. The most amazing thing is when she was doing Dodsworth, of course, she was shooting Dodsworth during the day and then fighting for custody of her child in a messy custody battle at night in court. And her character, she said the only way she got through that was that her character was such a nice person in Dodsworth that she just played that character, took that personality right into the courtroom with her. And a great thing about Dodsworth is that Ruth Chatterton said to her, found out that this was going on, and Ruth Chatterton said to her, "Are you going to do this every night alone?" She said, "Well, yes." She said, "No, you're not. I'm going with you. You've got to have someone on your side in that court." And Ruth Chatterton would go to the courtroom and sit in the courtroom with her.
Oh,
And
wow.
all of the listen to this, Romaine. All of the studio heads at that time, because this was like one of the big tabloid
Huge
trials,
scandal.
because she'd had an affair with George S. Kaufman, this playwright, and they were her husband was trying to take custody of their child.
And her diary was like stolen and published.
What?
Well, her diary, intimate diary of her love affairs, was never really read. They were just threatening. They said that they were going to read it in public, and they never did. But the most important thing was it was on the tabloids every day. And she's filming Dodsworth, this huge production, and all of the studio heads, Louis B. Mayer, Harry Kahn, Darryl F. Zanuck, they called a meeting, and they all met at Sam Goldwyn's office because he was producing Dodsworth, and they said to her, "This is very bad publicity, not only for you, but for the industry, and you need to drop this suit immediately." And she said to all of them, "Gentlemen, just to let you know, I never wanted this career. My father wanted me to have this. I don't care if I'm in movies or not. As a matter of fact, I have gone down and applied at several department stores to be a salesperson there. So don't even think for a moment that that I'm going to do this, because no man is going to tell me what I can or cannot do with my child. You are not going to include, and if this is the answer, then you can have it, because I don't want it." And she walked out. And they all turned. They were left with their mouths open because nobody had ever done this. And they turned and they looked at Sam Goldwyn, and Sam Goldwyn got that sly little look on his face, and he said, "Well, how can you argue with a mother?"
That's right.
That was the end of it. Yep, that was the end of it.
And she survived that scandal and went on to work and work and work all the time.
And survived alcoholism. And survived and wrote a memoir about her alcoholism called My Story, which was scandalous at that time. And she still made more movies. And then she wrote one of the best books on Hollywood, if you ever can get your hands on it. It's called A Life on Film, in which she talks about all of her individual movies. She tells this great story about how when she went to do The Great Lie, and she got this because she could play classical piano, and she could do the Tchaikovsky concerto on the piano. And Betty Davis called her in. This is at the height of Betty Davis's career. So the first day of filming, she called her in and said, "Look, this movie stinks." And she said, "I think what we need to do is that we need to rewrite every single day. So that's what we're going to do." And every day Mary Astor would come in, and Edmund Goulding was so scared of Betty Davis, the director, poor old queen, he would go up and he would go knock on the door tepidly, and he would say, "Ladies, do you have anything for us to film?" And Betty would hear, "In a minute." And they built up Mary Astor's part, and she won the Academy Award.
What?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's definitely a star. Like when you see her in a movie, she's going to be as good or better than the movie that she's in.
Oh yeah, you watch Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, and you're all these performances, all flying over the top. She quietly comes in and steals it. Sits down, does 2 or 3 scenes, and that's it. She's just amazing.
But also, I mean,
another one like that is Agnes Moorehead. Agnes Moorehead.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I know it's considered a tarnished classic, but I love the Magnificent Ambersons.
Oh,
and
yes. She's heartbreaking.
Incredible.
Oh God, Georgie Minifer, Georgie Amberson gets his comeuppance. Oh God, she's just great in that. And then she'll turn around and do something like Dark Passage, where she's just this harridan. They give her this film noir kind of part, and then she Bogart says, "Did you kill my wife?" And she goes, "Yes." Oh. Are you gonna go to the police with it? Oh. She's just so great. She's so great.
Yeah, I mean, for people who only know Andorra from Bewitched.
Oh, no. Oh, did you ever see her in Mrs. Parkington with Greer Garson? She plays a French courtesan. She's amazing. she's just astonishing in that part. You know, wonderful. Thelma Ritter was another one. Thelma Ritter walked in, stole every movie she was in, never made it a beat about it. 6 Oscar nominations. She should have been nominated for Rear Window and won that year. I mean, she's just amazing. And Eve Arden, walk in, steal a little movie, head out. You know, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thelma, I mean, as Thelma Ritter started as an actor pretty late in life. And
well, she did vaudeville. She did vaudeville with her husband. And then she quit to raise her kids. She wanted to raise her kids.
Right.
New Jersey housewife, and that's what she did. And when they got, she said, "Well, I think I'll go back to work." And she got Miracle on 34th Street. And Daryl Zanuck said, "Who is that? Put her in this. Now put her in this." But she didn't get really good billing until I don't know. She doesn't even build in Letter to Three Wives. And the next year she was nominated for All About Eve. That took her off.
Yeah. But I mean, she's great. A lot of people are like, how come she's missing in the second half of this movie? It's in a movie with so many great performances and so much great dialogue, like a lot of great stuff going on in All About Eve. It is amazing that you do think later on, like, hey, where'd Thelma Ritter go? Which, shows a great supporting performance.
It was. And you know what, Derek, you want her back just for one little snippet. I thought, would have been great if you could have had one brief scene of Margot getting ready to go to the awards at the end of the movie, and turning to Betty and saying something like, "Well, you look great. I told you so." You know what I mean? How do I look? You look like you're gonna eat crow. All right, I told you so. Just for a minute, and I think the audience does miss her. You know what's another performance like that is in Virginia O'Brien in The Harvey Girls.
Yes.
She's so funny and so great. But Judy was having troubles at the studio, and they were having trouble getting her there and stuff like that. And Virginia O'Brien was pregnant, and by the time they got Judy there enough, they had to leave her out of the rest of the movie. And all of a sudden, she just disappears. Boom, she's gone. And you go, where is she? But that's the way it is.
Yeah, I love the Harvey Girls. I wish they had let Angela Lansbury sing for herself in that movie.
Yeah, she's the best thing. She's incredible in it. She's so amazing, and she's gorgeous.
Why didn't they let her sing? Because she can sing.
I don't know. Romaine, that was always the way. They wouldn't let him sing.
But she actually can sing. That's the part that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. They had this whole thing. Well, Hollywood is like, okay, here's a classic example. When they made the movie of South Pacific, Juanita Hall had done Bloody Mary on Broadway. And Richard Rodgers wasn't happy with her voice, so she went in and she worked with Alfred Newman, and she worked up her voice, and Alfred Newman went to Richard Rodgers and said, "She sounded great, she's great." And he said, "Nope, we're going to use the woman who played Bloody Mary in London, in the London production. I liked her voice better, and we're going to dub her in." And that's what they did. I mean, she got to be in it, but she didn't get to really sing Valley High or any of those. They always did that. Barbara Stanwyck got to sing in one movie, in Lady of Burlesque. She got to use her own voice. And she sings a song called "Take It Off the E String, Play It on the G String," which is a hilarious number. And Susan Hayward sang all of her songs in "I'll Cry Tomorrow," but for the rest of them, everybody was dubbed.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was so common then to just dub. And I think for Angela Lansbury, it was early in her career, and they may have just made the decision, like, we have too many other things to worry about. We don't have time to work on vocal training, whatever. Also, I mean, it's a musical where Judy Garland is singing. I'm sure they were like, we need A+ singing here in this Judy Garland movie.
Yes, I think you're right. Also, Angela Lansbury did the Harvey Girls. She played Elizabeth Taylor's sister in National Velvet. She did The Picture of Dorian Gray all in the same year. All in 1 year, 1945. Amazing. And she was always just so sophisticated, so versatile, just so wonderful, I mean,
those supporting people. That I'm always, I love the stars, I do, but I'm always rooting for those supporting people. Like I have this obsession with this woman named Gail Sondergaard. And I've always loved Gail Sondergaard. She won the very first Oscar for supporting actress for Anthony Edwards. She plays this evil housekeeper, and she's fabulous. And, of course, they typecast her as evil housekeepers for the rest of her life. People would stop her on the street and say, I loved you in Rebecca, and she'd say, sorry, I wasn't in it. They would get her going. But she was just such a presence, Back there they had presence. And another thing I always talk about is that they had distinctive voices. Nobody today has a voice that you recognize right away. But back then they did because they all did radio. And those stars wanted you to know the minute you heard their voice who it was. And that's why Betsy Davis talked with teeth and Catherine Hepburn talked like this. And Gary Cooper paused. Oh, but, they all had these distinctive voices. And they don't have that now,
Well, and I also wonder if part of that wasn't sort of the beginning of sound film and all of these actors coming from Broadway and vaudeville, and that having a voice that both recorded well, because that was really important, but also was distinctive and memorable, was as important as your face. In much the same way that when Technicolor came about, like all of a sudden the color of things was really important in distinguishing a movie or distinguishing a look or a set.
And I think there are a lot of people who, over the years, as they start to look back, and thanks to TCM and thanks to people, directors who have taken, like Scorsese, who take an interest in classic films, other people who are just as good but not as prominently known are coming into their own. I think the one I'm thinking of in particular is Gene Tierney. When I met Robert Osborne, he told me Gene Tierney was his favorite actress, and especially, he loved her especially, not only in Laura, but in Leave Her to Heaven and in The Ghost of Mrs. Muir and The Razor's Edge. And, she's become now and one of the most famous actresses. And at the same time, other people who were huge stars, people don't know anymore. Like, nobody knows Susan Hayward anymore. She was one of the major box office stars. William Holden, another one of the major box office stars of the 50s. People don't know. But then people don't know who who a lot of Jack Nicholson or a lot of the stars today are, which is...
That's true.
As we approach the Oscars. Anyway.
It's true. If you ask my 17-year-old daughter, she would know who none of those people are.
Well, yeah. I mean, to her, classic movies are from 1989.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, no, but when you stop to think of it, it makes sense. Because when I was your daughter's age, the movies that I watched on TV were from the 50s or the 60s, and old movies were considered... They look at movies from the 70s like I looked at movies from the 30s when I was their age, It gives you an idea how old I am, older than
Well,
God,
you're
dog,
young.
but,
Don't even.
We were really...
Thank you. I'm young like Loretta.
I think, because, young, like teenagers in the 60s were into like silent movies. They were into like the silent to early sound comedians like Laurel and Hardy and Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, the Marx Brothers. Like, sort of as people look back on classic a lot of it is sort of based on, their generation. Steve, we're not quite the same age, but generationally we're pretty close because, we grew up with the $1 Million Movie, which were they would play old movies all the time on TV. You'd come home from school and there'd be an old black and white movie on TV. And it really introduced generations of young gays to all of these stars.
It had to only be the gays. Thank you for clarifying that.
Our lives. Yes. And people, when I was in my 20s during one of the great periods of cinema history, which were like from the 1968 to 1975. Those were amazing years. They weren't as strict with the codes anymore, and they were taking more chances. And that was the great time of the great British people, the great British actresses. And, we lost the last 2 years, we lost two of my great idols that I'm always pushing people on. Maggie Smith this past year, and Glenda Jackson. I mean, these women were just amazing at turning out. And then they're doing movies like Chinatown and The Last Picture Show and Cabaret and The Godfather. And the movies were so amazing. And then on top of that, I got to come home in the afternoons from school and sit down and watch, Now Voyager, or, it was a great time. It was a great time,
Well, Steve Hayes, it's always a great time with you, and I encourage everyone to check out your reviews on your YouTube channel, and you've broken out on the YouTube channel a bunch of playlists. So if people have been interested in checking out somebody like Mary Astor or Alfred Hitchcock, and Adam's Rib is a great movie if people haven't seen it, about married lawyers who are battling in court against each other.
Oh, my God, it's so hilarious. It's hilarious. Katharine Hepburn says to Judy Holliday, "How did you feel after you shot your husband?" She goes, "I was hungry." She's so cute.
Also, if they were making that movie now, that neighbor would be a homosexual. Like, that is insane.
Absolutely.
That was supposed to be a straight character. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And they have the next door neighbor who's supposed to be in love with Katharine Hepburn. David Wayne plays him, and he's obviously,
so
a gay guy. Yep, so gay. How many S's in so gay? So gay.
But I love that he knows that character is gay, even though he's like, you need to leave your husband for me and everything. But it's the same thing with, George Sanders and All About Eve. Like, these are characters that are obviously gay characters, and their pursuit of a woman in the movie seems much more about, like, I don't know, coveting them, or they're, using it for some kind of cover or power, versus any actual romantic attachment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's silly.
What's your favorite color? Lavender. Okay. All right. Well, it's the same thing with Clifton Webb in every movie he ever did. Every movie he ever did. You're going, oh, God, this guy is he's gayer than a $3 bill.
All right. Well, Steve, the next time we have you back, we're just going to talk solely about characters and performances that absolutely were gay characters.
Oh, I love that idea.
Oh, great. That means I can come back on. I'd love to come back on. I'm
yes.
so glad you asked me. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll spend 20 minutes just talking about the gay couple and the third man. All right.
Oh, yes, in bed, or the gay authoress in Suspicion having the dinner party with her girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, there's the gay guy in Midnight. Of course.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Thank God for Rex O'Malley. He was terrific. God, he was terrific.
All right. Well, I love a good teaser for next time.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Thanks, you.
Steve.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Our thanks to Steve Hayes, tired old queen of the movies. Be sure to check him out on his YouTube channel. The video reviews he does are really fun. There are clips in there. If you've been thinking about checking out classic movies, especially with all the streaming platforms like Max and Amazon Prime and Canopy, you can look on Steve Hayes' reviews and then check out the various movies on streaming platforms. Why not? Give it a try. It is Steve Hayes TOQ on YouTube and on X and Blue Sky. Steve Hayes TOQ. Romaine, did you learn something today?
I learn something every time I listen to him. I love Steve. He's the best, and he makes me giggle. But most importantly, I love how happy he makes you, because you can actually talk about old movies with someone who knows what the fuck you're talking about.
I know. We're the last two left alive. It's true. All right. You're listening to Derek and Romaine. Well, there you have it. The end of another perfect episode of Derek and Romaine. And if you want more great fun, go to dnrstudios.com and subscribe to get our show every day. And don't forget, for DNR Plus subscribers, you can use the DNR Cast app for iPhone, available now in the App Store.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.